I know what you're saying, though. A lot of people are doing a lot of things just to make money right now. Right?
When you send that live, let me know.
So it's live right now.
Oh.
So I just said myself, your video camera, could you click it? It's not showing your pretty little face.
Because I'm not on my video right now, I'm trying to find you on Facebook so I can join your live cast.
Super. I'll go into the intro while you're doing that.
Okay.
Facebook, you are such happy little trolls. How you doing? Welcome. Come on in. Have a seat. You know, having a guest on your podcast is like having a wedding, you know, because like there's my people that are coming in. You're going to sit on the right. That's for the bride. And then for the groom, today, the groom of this particular wedding is Michael Copenhaver. He doesn't know he's getting into a wedding. Don't tell him. He'll run, I'm sure, especially if I'm the bride. Anyway, enough with the comparisons. I'm Linda Marcus Smith, your host of Comic Spot. I started this podcast because I was depressed and I wanted to check in and be nosy and see how comics are doing, and it's turned into my passion. Michael Copenhaver was sitting here and somehow he got booted out. So I'm just going to talk until he comes back. I'm sure he'll be back. Today I got the amazing, marvelous, miraculous news that he's back. I got the news that the Portland Comedy Festival, my home club, announced that I'm the winner for the podcast. So I beat out other podcasts, probably most likely because I was the chick that got Sinbad. So, so I think that had something to do with it. You know, I'm happy because I would be nowhere if Harvey's Comedy Club, the host of the festival, would never have allowed me to do Sassy Broad Squad a year and a half ago, where I interviewed, 29 or 39 headliners. They also let me come to 7 shows a week to study comedy. I would be nowhere in this. Well, I'm really nowhere in this business right now, but I would be nowhere without Harvey's. Anyway, you get the point, and welcome. So today, Michael Copenhaver is here, and he's waiting for me to shut up so he can talk. But before I shut up, look at him. He's already
talking. It makes it easy on me. You keep doing all the talking.
I'll ask a question and then I'll guess what your answer would be. How about we do that? Here's his intro. Michael Copenhaver is a regional comedian. How come do they all talk in the third person? Never mind. Michael, because I asked him to. Michael Copenhaver is a regional comedian from Northeast Ohio. Okay, so if this is Ohio, it probably looks like this. No, it looks like this, doesn't it? If he's from Ohio, he's from the northeast side. And if that's backwards, figure it out your dyslexic selves.
You got it right.
He's a regular all over Cleveland / Akron, and is going to be traveling the Midwest and more to entertain. My sister's calling me while I'm doing a podcast. Traveling the Midwest and more to entertain crowds with his personalized comedy straight from his life experiences. Oh, this is going to be good. You can follow his schedule primarily at www.michaelcopenhavercomedian.com. He's also a regular guest on Random Tandem podcast, Saturdays live, 7 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, Michael?
That's right. We go Facebook Live every Saturday at 7.
Okay. And also Deep Space Conversation, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern, live on Facebook. And he promises it's not deep.
It's not. That was the idea originally, but then they got people like me on there. I'm a comedian. Just let me comedy.
Well, talk to to me, Michael. You're in northeastern Ohio.
That's right. Tiny little town called Champion. You've never heard of it unless you're in Denver. Real Denver Broncos fans will know that Randy Gradishar came from Champion, Ohio. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he was a pretty good doggone quarterback in the late 70s and 80s. I'm like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes from the PA border. You've heard of Youngstown, probably. I'm about 20 miles north of Youngstown, about 50 miles due east of Cleveland.
Wonderful.
Tiny little area.
Have you ever met Drew Carey?
I have not. I was supposed to last year, but it didn't work out.
Have you ever seen a live taping of Hot in Cleveland?
Hot in Cleveland. That's another one I was supposed to, but something came up. I had a show came up, so I didn't go to the show. I went to perform instead.
Do you know Valerie Bertinelli, and can you get her on my podcast?
Yeah, you're hilarious. If I knew Valerie Bertinelli, I'd be in a better shape than I am now.
Isn't bad if you'll give me Valerie Bertinelli and Jennifer Aniston.
I'll do what I can.
So like a clearinghouse here.
It's funny Brand mentioned Valerie Bertinelli. Wasn't she married to Eddie Van Halen?
Yes.
Keeping it topical, keeping it normal. Right in that topical zone.
How are you going to stay relevant, if you don't pick up names from the past and challenge millennials,
Yeah, it is kind of funny who the people they don't know are. I can't remember who the heck it was, but I mentioned somebody just a couple of days ago. Someone's like, I've never even heard of that person. I don't remember who it was now, but it was pretty funny at the time.
I have a joke where I say that when I was in the army, they put me in Germany, and instantly I became like a celebrity, like I was one woman and I was the only woman on the post. So I went from being very plain to becoming like Gina Lola Brigida, all of a sudden Gina. And if you don't know who that was, take out Gina, throw in Kim Kardashian. It's the same joke. I love saying that just because I get to mess with young people.
Yeah, that's pretty easy these days. Very thin skinned, the young.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing to say on stage where you're pushing the envelope or saying something that sort of goes over, but it makes a point you want to make?
Well, I do not do comedy to make points. I do not do comedy to make my personal viewpoint. That's not my job. My job is to entertain. So I just do my best to just be funny. But the only Well, Dave Chappelle said the only way to find out where the line is to cross it. And I'm not trying to cross it. I'm trying to be as mainstream as possible. But I do have some jokes that touch on, potentially maybe crossing lines, but then I jump right back. And it's like a left turn. That's my favorite jokes to do, is a left turn jokes. You don't see them coming. But on one of them, I talk about how I come from a small town in Northeast Ohio called Champion. And in my school growing up, we didn't have a lot of experience with minorities. In fact, we had a special name for the black kids at my school. We called him Sam, because that was his name. Stuff like that. I love getting a lot of African Americans in a crowd when I do that joke, because I will let that pause simmer and I look at their faces, and almost all their faces are saying, all right, honky, if you're going to get racist on me, it better be funny. But it's not racist at all. It's just an actual little factoid from my very lame, very sheltered life.
Wow. I have a new opening line that's been working for me. Do you want to hear it?
Absolutely.
So let's say that you're giving me 10 minutes. I'll say, hi, you guys, I'm going to do something that's never been done before. I'm going to see if I can go 10 minutes without sounding racist.
At your age, that's probably funny. Which isn't to say you're old, but I mean, obviously, you're not 20s. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. I got a few different openings. I've been stuck on the same one for a little while. I've been thinking about switching it up. Just kind of depends. Sometimes if something happens in the room, I'll use that for an open, because it gives you that instant connection to the audience, to where we all experience this together. Let's talk about it and make it part of the show.
Yes. I like opening up by saying, I've been really busy. Have you known a geriatric that's busy? I've been busy aging. And that's what I'm judging from the looks of this audience. I'm winning.
Yeah, that works for me too in most cases. A lot of times I'm on average older than the audience. It is what it is. But I'm only 46. I'm still young yet.
You are. That's
Yeah,
23.
46.
I could have had
You
a
can see
child.
the beard.
Wow.
So I took the hair. Hardly any hair. I don't want the gray to show.
So talk to me about I tried to interview and I had internet problems, and then I was out sick for a while, and I have more excuses than cod liver used to have olive oil or whatever the hell that. The point is, where did you grow? You grew up in northeastern Ohio, and how did you become funny? Did you tell jokes when you were born, or?
Yeah, I was always a class clown. Always looking for a way to be an entertainer as a kid. And then I went once in my 20s just for fun. I was like, hey, there was like a DJ, they were taking a break and say, hey, can I grab the mic and just try to tell some jokes? And it did not go well at all. And that doesn't count as my first time on stage because it was just an on the whim, I was drunk kind of a moment, you know?
Yeah.
But actually putting together material and trying to be an actual for real stand-up comedian was very different. Like the first time I went on stage for real, I prepared for almost a year and a half before I did it.
Wow. So
No,
when you got
it was
up
just
there,
me looking for excuses constantly not to show up on the open mic night, you know, for that first time. Always something would come up that just made it seem like it wasn't the best thing to do. Instead, I could do this or do that. And finally, my one friend is like, listen, come pick me up and we're going to go. I'm tired of hearing you talk about it. Let's do it or not. Either you go this Wednesday or I never want to hear about it again. And we went that Wednesday and I fell in love with comedy.
that's cool. You know, I always wanted to do comedy, and one night I was at an open mic, and there was a young guy up on stage, and he was bombing so badly, and he knew it. So, like, he was this. He was like, so blah 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 blah. Where's he's talking blah blah blah, and he was like, God, I'm dying. I wish I could kill myself. I think I'll go home and I couldn't take the fact that he was bombing, let alone that he was verbalizing he was going to go off himself. And without thinking, I just said, hell, just make fun of us Jews. He took my advice and he started ripping in on the Jews because I gave him permission. And the audience went, it was the funniest thing, biggest turnaround you could have imagined. And I thought, why the hell am I in the audience? If I could read a room that would work, maybe I should be up on stage.
Well, on my first time up, I wasn't bombing, but I wasn't killing either, but I was doing very well for a first timer, I think. But at the same time, I knew what I wanted to talk about. And while I was up there, it was just all slipping away. It's like, I had stuff planned. And I'd verbalize it. I was like, man, this was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And then the crowd just got into it. They're like, listen, just do you. Come on, you got this. And kept me in there. And I cannot get enough stage time now. I don't care what the room is. I don't care if it pays or not. And too many comedians get hung up on, well, does it pay? And I'm not going if it pays. Well, I don't think I'll ever be above being an open mic person. I mean, there's no better place to go try out new material than open mics. Better than making people pay to watch you do new stuff that might not work. But
you have a wonderful, you're such a wonderful person with a great attitude.
No, you have to. I mean, you can't be a defeatist. You have to just constantly be chugging forward. If you let a one negative experience destroy it for you, then you weren't serious about it to begin with. And you only learn from doing poorly. You can't really learn much from killing, really. I mean, if there are jokes that work, that's great, fantastic. Now, how do you make a joke that doesn't work? Well, you got to watch it implode a few times and then fix it from there.
Absolutely.
Nobody's a finished project, in my opinion. Nobody's a finished project. As soon as you think you're done growing as a performer, well, you are done growing as a performer because you'll never grow again once you think you've made your pinnacle.
Wow,
I haven't
don't
reached my peak yet.
you have a lot to teach? When did you start getting up on stage? What year?
April 16th, 2019, believe it or not.
Wow. How'd
If
you
you
get
ever
this?
see me perform, you wouldn't believe that. I get a lot of people that tell me they don't think, they think I'm full of shit.
How many years did you contemplate going up on stage before you actually took the dive?
Easily 4 or 5 years before that, but I waited for my kids to graduate from school and everything else. Once they'd moved on with their lives, I was ready to move on with mine. I was done living for other people. Now it's time for me to live for myself, chase my dreams.
Absolutely.
That was a good
So
example.
talk to me.
You do something you want to do what you love. Don't settle and keep doing things you hate to do just to survive. Do something you love to do, even if it hurts your pocketbook, if it hurts your bottom line. Fill your soul before you fill your wallet. That's my opinion.
What are some things that you've done that didn't fill your soul in your life? Besides, I know raising children filled your soul, and probably you want to say that jobs that put money in your pocket filled your soul, but there's got to be some gigs, some jobs that took away from your soul.
Every job I ever had until I started doing stand-up, they didn't fill my soul. They filled my pocket. They let me eat. They helped me provide for my children. Those were all good things. But the bottom line is I was never happy doing it. I remember
Yeah.
one time I'd been contemplating. I'm not even kidding around. Every day I would wake up. I hated my job so much. I'd just wake up. It was so intellectually stunting. I mean, there was zero any kind of intellectual stimulation to this. It was just driving, and there was barely any interaction with any of the thing. It was just terrible, terrible, terrible. It was long hours, 13, sometimes 15, 16 hours a day or more at sometimes. You just never knew what you were into. And I would wake up every day thinking to myself, I would much rather go out in the woods and blow my freaking brains out than go into work today. And I did that for a couple more years. Didn't blow my brains out, but I just decided one day it was time to change, time to do something different. But I've been self-employed for the last 14 years now.
Now, what do you do as a self-employed person?
On the side, it's full-time comedy now, but on the side, like through the week, I don't get too busy. And I live in an area of Northeast Ohio that's close to Amish country, and they need rides. So I'm Amish Uber. They call me when they want to go somewhere, and I drive them around.
So are you an Uber driver, or do you name yourself Amish Uber?
I'm a Yoder toter.
So that's a thing?
No. I mean, it's a joke is what it is. It's just a joke. Yoder is a very popular Amish name. You're familiar with Amish, yes?
I know who they are, and I've seen them
Yeah.
on Amtrak. When you go through the middle of the country to the east, you see a lot of Amish.
Those folks are probably dropped off at the Amtrak station in Cleveland. Yeah,
So if they can't,
they do modern electronics, things like that. So they don't own cars, but it's not always convenient to run around in a horse and buggy, so they'll call me, and that's how I make my.
If they ever can't pay for the Uber ride that you give them, do they give you furniture?
That never happens. The Amish are loaded.
Are they? Wow, who would have thought?
I know a lot of millionaires, and they don't have electricity in their houses, and that's no shit. Millionaires. People that will go and buy a $280,000 piece of property with a house on it with cash.
Wow.
Here, let me write you a check for the whole amount.
What?
Thanks for that. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow. So what's the best story you've ever had getting to know somebody who's Amish that would shock people that don't know much about the Amish?
I will say that I won't get into something like that just because the Amish have their image, and it's by and large a very real, pious image. But those few people that ruin that image, I'm not about to ruin it for the rest of them and have people thinking it's everybody.
That's a very good point. Is there, like, what's the most?
Too many years for me to mess them over, man. I'm not. I
what's
talk about Amish on stage, but it's with respect. I mean, I owe them my respect. They've never shown me anything but goodness and respect. I mean, I met a few turds. Oh, okay, here's what I'll tell you about Amish. All right, they're just like any other cross section of society. 80% are just regular everyday people. 10% are especially good, and 10% are turds.
Very
They're just
good.
like any other
So
cross section.
they're just a microcosm of everything else.
Yes. And if the man has a beard, that means he's married. That means if you're a woman, don't just come up and start talking to him. That's a problem for them.
Wow. I
There's
did
just
not know that.
a little knowledge for you. You see him with a beard, don't go approaching him.
So are you married?
I'm divorced.
Do they think you're Amish?
Sometimes I get that because they don't understand that the mustache is not part of the Amish gig. They go with the sans mustache, and then a lot of the stuff on the cheeks is gone too. It's more like a chin strap that goes up into the sideburns. Yeah, I get that sometimes. Or homeless guy or terrorist.
So you've done a lot of comedy in Northeast Ohio and all over Cleveland, Akron, and you're planning on going out through the Midwest, maybe a tour across the country.
I mean, I'm a multi-state comedian now. I've been to Pennsylvania a few times. I've been over to Michigan now. I've been down in Kentucky. So, like I said, I'm stretched out. I'm a regional now, not just local.
Yeah. So what
next month I have a huge room. I'm doing the Savannah Comedy Review. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's in Savannah, Georgia at the Savannah Comedy Club. I'm really excited for that one. It's an industry room, so it's going to be huge. Big opportunity for Mike.
Yes. Yes. That's going to be
live
live.
on stage. I'm just worried about it's got to be PG-13, like something that they can send into America's Got Talent, you know, because that's what they do for you. That's part of the thing when you go there. They'll tape it for you, give you a copy of your tape, and then they send your tape directly to America's Got Talent for you. So who knows? Maybe I'll be on that next year.
Let me know when that is so I can watch it, or however I do it.
Well, the Savannah Comedy Review is going to be a live show.
Oh.
That's not going out on the internet. It's a live show down in Savannah, Georgia, which is what I wanted to do from when I started. Travel and do jokes and just goof off and have fun and make a living at it. I take being an idiot.
If people are on here and they So if people are on here and they want to book you, how far will you travel?
I'll go to the ends of the earth.
So
have jokes, we'll travel.
You have jokes and you will travel. You are loaded with jokes.
Have jokes, we'll travel.
Who is your favorite comedian when you were growing up that first turned you on and you were like, wow, I could do that?
That first turned me on, Eddie Murphy for sure. No doubt about it.
Wow. What's that?
But Eddie Murphy, no doubt about it. At first. But I've been a student of comedy since I was a kid. I mean, a young kid. I was listening to Eddie Murphy long before I should have been listening to Eddie Murphy. But Carlin, I think, is the undisputed heavyweight champion as far as all-timers go. Very close second. And these are just my opinion, of course, and you know how those things go. Bill Hicks, another just titan of comedy. He was so great. We lost a great one early. In fact, Bill Hicks is he's one of my most favorite comedy stories I've ever heard in my life. He was doing a show in Chicago while he was still alive, of course. And he said to everybody, hey, everybody, there's a big time celebrity in the audience. Put your hands together and let's all welcome Dennis Leary to the crowd. And everyone's cheering and whooping for Dennis Leary. And then he said, now, in honor of Dennis Leary, I'm going to do my fucking act. Dennis Leary pretty much stole all of his act that made him popular from Bill Hicks.
Wow.
All that smoking stuff, Bill Hicks did it first.
Wow. That's crazy.
So, F you, Dennis Leary. You don't have to be the funniest one in the room to get ahead. You just have to be the lowest one in the room sometimes.
That's one thing I'm
getting out of my life. That's where all my comedy comes from. Nobody can say I stole anything from them. Because everything I do comes directly from my life. I don't work on premises. I don't do any of that baloney, sit around trying to think of something that's funny. I just remember how big of a dumbass I am. Remember some dumb stories and tell those. So I'm very fond of saying if I had brains, I'd be dangerous.
Wow. So you're self-deprecating.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
I love that kind
of. Not often.
What's the best thing somebody's told you when you got done doing a set?
You were the funniest person I saw tonight. And that was with honest to goodness nationwide headliner people on the bill. And they
Holy
said I'm better than they were. And that's when I was like, yep, I made the right choice. Never been broker, but never been more happy.
yes, I get that. What's a good club that people don't know about? A little dirty secret in Kentucky or Ohio?
I can't tell you about other states. One of the nice, dirty little secrets around Akron is definitely Club Quantum. Really great guy named Chris Kettler runs that show. He's a producer. He's given me more minutes than anybody else. I owe him everything that I am in comedy right now. Without all the minutes that he gave me the freedom to do, I would never have developed as quickly as I have as a comedian. I mean, if I was still doing 5 minutes once a week, I mean, you wouldn't be talking to me right now. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
Yeah, Chris Kettler, Club Quantum in Akron. In fact, I'll be there this coming Friday, the 23rd. Please, folks, come out and see me at Club Quantum. It's going to be a solid lineup, and I'll be there.
This Thursday at what time?
It'll be Friday, the 23rd, and showtime is 9 p.m. That's Club Quantum in Akron. You'll find that if you go to my Facebook page. I just posted about it a few minutes before jumping on with you.
Wonderful. What do you want people to
somewhere
know?
In there they can see my name and how to spell it, because I don't want to leave anybody their own devices trying to figure out Copenhaver.
I know, right? So
I get Copenhagen all the time. So
I bet that I can see that. So what is it that you want people to know about you that you haven't said yet?
that's a weird question.
Thank you.
What do I want people to know about me that I haven't already said? Okay, I haven't said it yet, but I talk about how stupid I am most of the time, which is by and large very true. But I have been known for moments of smart. Not very many moments of intelligence, not very many, but they are few and far between, but they are there. I actually have a degree in secondary education. That's right.
Wow.
Lose some sleep, Linda. I'm $100 and one simple test away from shaping young minds. But I never pursued it. I put my resume on Monster after I graduated, and the nearest job to me was going to put me 6 hours away from my kids, and I was not about to do that because I was already divorced at the time. So I forewent my own career in education to be closer and more involved with my children's lives. Never regretted it.
Children do you have?
Never for 1 second did I ever regret that choice.
You're a good man. How many children do you have?
A son and a daughter. My daughter's 20, my son's 19.
That's
in
so
fact, the last time I tried to do this, I was at my son's visiting. I was up in Michigan for a few days doing shows, and I was at his house, actually. We were just about to have lunch. They just got the food off as we clicked into our conversation.
Oh, my God.
It was almost fortuitous that it didn't work out last time because I was so hungry.
So are your children on track to being adult superstars? Their lives are on a path that you are happy about, and they have something different.
Nothing but pride for my children. They're better people than I was at their age, and that's all that I could ask for. They're nowhere near the term that I was, and that's all that I could ask. They'd be better people than I was, and that's the way I raised them. Don't let the dumb things I do make you think you can do dumb things too. Be smarter than me, be better than me. But I was also raised them to be, I raised them differently than I was raised myself also. That has a lot to do with it. Which isn't to say my parents raised me to be a bad person, but I was left alone a lot. They worked a lot of hours. They had union factory jobs, and they worked a lot of 16-hour days. Not a lot of time to raise a kid when you're trying to sleep in between. So I fault my parents.
I was left alone a lot too. What?
No, I was just saying, I don't fault my parents for anything. I had a good life. I mean, I'm not saying that they ruined me or anything like that. Just I had very little supervision from a young age, and it shows. I still need supervised more often than I am.
So let's back to your comedy. When you were little, you were a class clown, you said, right?
Those were always the worst grades I got in school, conduct, and that is not a lie. I'm not being sarcastic. That's not a line from a joke. My worst grades I ever got, I was basically a straight A, sometimes B student, and then C's if I was lucky, D's and F's for conduct.
And so when you hear people talking, are you always thinking of where the funny is while they're talking?
Yes, and I am well known for walking into random people's conversations just to insert myself and make a stupid joke about it. It almost always goes great. Sometimes people want to punch me.
Yes. What if you had one gig that you could do before you die? The place that you have to perform before you leave the planet, where would it be?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm gonna go and say probably the Fillmore in LA. So many legends are on that stage. Just to share that rarefied space would be, that to me would say I finally made it.
Absolutely.
There are
Absolutely.
lots of different ways to make it. I mean, right now my low end goal is just be a touring comedian full time, 52 weeks a year. That's all I want to do with my life. Just goof off and have fun. Um, I'm part-time caregiver for my parents. They need me a lot. I do a lot for them. So I'm not ready to leave just yet, but the weekends are good for now. I can take off for the weekends. But even when, I won't say if, when I hit and really get that fire going, I'm never going to be the guy who lives in New York or LA. No. I'm a small town guy and I'm going to stay that way. I'm going to keep my feet planted firmly on this ground, because I'll tell you what, there's some real Lulus in show business. Crazy people.
Yes. So you're a working comic and you're a touring comic and you love small towns.
Oh, love it. I'd like to try to get to a new place early a day, just so I can spend the day in the town, getting to know a few people, see the local flavor, ask people what to do around there, and then just go watch, see what happens.
I love that. I've seen you at haven't you put out videos where you've been in nowheresville places talking into the camera?
I've had a few, but not too many. Most of the stuff that I do doesn't really go live or anything like that. I do it just for myself more than anything else, which I keep kicking myself for. Like when I'm out of town, I got to start doing more like videos and things like that to create more content. That's a big problem for me. I keep forgetting I can create other content than waiting for a stage time. But I've got some people I work with, those podcasts you had mentioned earlier. That's with some friends of mine from Eargasm Comedy. They're found at eargasmcomedy.com. Eargasm, not orgasm, EARgasm. And I've been doing a lot of sketch work with them and things like that to stretch a little bit. But I have old, like high school experience with acting, stuff like that. I do love to lie. I love talking to strangers and just telling them long and elaborate lies just to see how long I can keep them going. And that's part of acting. Being able to, oh yeah, I will tell ridiculous things to people just to see the reaction. And if I got them on the hook, I will keep them as long as I possibly can.
That's hilarious.
You'd think my girlfriend would catch on to it by now. My girlfriend just lived with me for the last couple of years, and I can still get her all the time. Like I would just say something ridiculous, and she's like, oh, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm serious," and I just keep on going. And then finally, she's like, "Wait a minute, this is one of those times where you're just full of shit, isn't it?" Yes, it is. But it was great for me.
If you're good at that, you need to get a hold of Felicia Michaels. She has a podcast where you go on there and try to stump the panel.
Oh, really? Oh, I love telling lies. I could totally do that.
Oh, you should do it. You should do it.
Yeah. Felicia Michaels. I remember that.
Yeah, she has a podcast. I can't remember the name of her podcast for whatever reason, but I was on it. And you get 2 chances to stump them. So you're supposed to tell a story that's true and tell a story that's made up, and they have to figure out which is which.
Okay.
It's a fun podcast.
That sounds like fun. I'm gonna have to contact her.
Yeah, she's kind of sort of famous. She's been around the biz, and if you get on her podcast, it's a cool thing. You'll get new friend requests out of it.
Very cool. I'm doing a live thing for television in Pittsburgh next month. That'll be just few days. Yeah, that'll be next month. That's a few days before the Savannah trip.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's going to be great with Stefan Braxton.
What? That's so cool.
He's a local guy to Pittsburgh.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and head out. But you guys, he's at michaelcopenhavercomedian.com. He's hooked
Right.
up
Small
with
sample there.
Eargasm.
You'd love me live.
What's that?
That there's a small sample there. It's from my set that I did last year for the World Series of Comedy.
What? You were in
Yeah.
the World Series of Comedy last year?
I got that particular set gave me the highest vote from the judges. I got the highest scores from the judges, but the audience vote kicked me down to second place. It was far from home. I can't really get a group to travel. I'm not the Ohio State Buckeyes. I can't get people to travel to see me.
Wow. Holy Toledo.
But
Well,
I was
you're
happy
on
to have the highest score from the judges. I'll take that every day.
every day. Every day. Wow, you're something else. So I look up to you because I know you have a hard work ethic and you're willing to do the tough grind in small towns, not just going for the big shows in big towns. So you're keeping.
All the small towns are getting me ready for those big stages, like Savannah, for instance. Next month, I'm not even kidding. I'm not overselling it one bit to say it's a huge opportunity for me. All I got to do is kill it. It's just a 5-minute spot. I'm driving 12 hours to do it. I don't care. It's worth it. That is a room I want to do.
Oh, that's so cool to hear. I love your passion for comedy.
It's my number one thing right now. My girlfriend gets pissed off at me. She says, "You love comedy more than me." I said, "Only a little bit."
Well, you must love her a lot then, because I can tell you really love comedy.
Yes, I do. It's my life.
You know, and you're relatively young compared to me, and you understand the history of comedy. You don't take any of this for granted. All the work that the legends have done before you. I can feel you not just wanting to walk in.
Starting late because I know enough that I know it's what I want, so I'm willing to work hard for it. If I did this 20 years ago, I wouldn't be putting the effort in that I am now. I would have quit already. That's just a fact. Who I was 20 years ago is not the person who's going to make it in comedy. But work ethic is a lot of it. And if I can give any starting out comedian any advice at all, it's do as many minutes as you possibly can, especially if you're uncomfortable doing it. Do more minutes if you're uncomfortable. The only thing that will get that comfort level up is experience and time on stage.
That's it. You can take classes, but it doesn't hold a candle to being up there and being in the grind.
Yeah, I'm of the thought that if you needed a comedy class, you probably weren't meant for comedy. Some people take them because they think that's the only way that and that's fine. Like if it's your impetus and the only way to really push you onto that stage because it's something you're nervous about, that's one thing. But if you're taking a comedy class to learn how to be funny and then try to apply that on stage, you're never going to make it, man.
No.
Save your money. Don't take a class. You're not funny now. You're not going to be funny after a class. That's a promise.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of people that respect that opinion too, and a lot of really top comics think that those are just ripoffs. You either got it or you don't, and the way to find out if you got it is to get up on stage.
That's right. I mean, you might bomb the first time, but I mean, if you enjoy yourself doing it and then realize, well, I didn't bomb because they didn't like me. I didn't bomb because I suck at it. I bombed because I didn't write good jokes. Just improve my jokes, improve my performance. I mean, I tape myself so often still because there's always something I can learn from watching me perform. Well, I missed this there. Sometimes I'll realize I didn't even realize it in the moment, but I missed a whole beat in one of my jokes I've been telling for over a year now.
Wow.
I've been writing so many new things right now. Like after COVID came out, I didn't really go back to much of my old stuff. I've been doing a lot more of my new things. My old stuff was a lot more clean. I'm trying to have a little more fun being a little blue. Just a little blue.
Just enough.
That's right. Not Lenny Bruce, but you know.
That's great. Well, I'm going to head on out.
Really, Linda, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I love talking to people who are hardworking, with comedy and respect the craft like you do. So you're an encouragement to me that there are young, I look at you as a young person in life, not in comedy. I look at you as much further along than me. I've been doing it 6 years. I'm not at your level. And that's okay. Everybody has their own path. Mine's slow.
There's more than one way to skin the comedy cat. That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I marvel at people that can come in within a year or two and be at your level. And that hasn't been my experience for me. And that's cool. We all have like I came into this with a brain injury. So I have to absorb information a certain way. And sometimes I do need a class to point out that I am funny and that won't work for you, but try this. I couldn't think of that myself. And yet I have a very strong passion to make it in comedy with my mental deficit from brain trauma.
Very few comedians
so
do it all.
sometimes I need someone.
Very few comedians do it all by themselves. Watch
Yeah,
any comedian special, and at the end, written by, it's not that one comedian usually. It's that one comedian plus 4 or 5 of his best friends. I didn't do this all alone. I've got 2 people that helped me write quite a bit. It's not all just me, but I mean, I've had help. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't do this all alone. I would not be where I am without the few people that have helped me. I cannot say I would be here alone, because that would be a lie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So again, I'll throw it back to you one last time. This is your last shot to say anything you want people to know about you or your comedy or what you're going to be doing that you haven't said so far, how they can help you in any way to follow you or whatever.
The best way is definitely www.michaelcopenhavercomedian.com. Just about every show I list is on there. I've got links to the different podcasts there. I mean, you can, the website is a one-stop comedy shop. That's all the things that I am involved with are all there.
Got it. Perfect. All righty. Well, I wish you the very, very best, top-notch, top shelf with your career. And I'm a fan. And so come to Vegas so I can step outside the house and watch you.
You will know when I'm in Vegas because I'm going to be staying at your place.
I'll show you my place. This is I'm staying at the extended stay. So I don't really have a place, but I'm staying at extended stay is a great place to stay by the week or month. So until I land an apartment that's going to be stable for me to stay at, this is where I'm going to be for 4 months.
Oh my gosh. Well, enjoy your stay there.
I don't have to think about where.
Have the same neighbors all the time. You should be having a revolving door of neighbors at least.
Yeah. And who doesn't love that?
That's right. Variety, the spice of life.
Yes. I hope they move out the lady with the cat litter. She never changes. Then I'll be happier. Thank you so much.
I just want to say one more time, thank you for having me, Linda. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your patience getting on here. Sorry I had issues with the internet and my health.
No worries.
Thank you.
Good luck at the festival with your podcast. I will be watching, and if there's a way for me to vote for you, let me know what it is. I want to vote for you.
It won. So the voting is over, and Saturday at noon Pacific, I'm trying to find I picked out somebody. So I have to do a presentation for the festival on Zoom Saturday at noon Pacific. And I picked out 3 people, and I'm just waiting to see which one of them is going to get back to me first for me to do a podcast interview for the festival.
Sure.
So yeah, I'll post that. And if you want me to tag you, I will.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Tag me in anything, then it'll pop up on my page. Look, it takes a village. We all help each other out. At least we should all help each other out. Some folks aren't like that, but I'm not one of them.
They say it takes a village.
Yeah, that's not rude. We can all make it if we just work together.
Yeah, there's room for all of us. They say it takes a village to raise an idiot. So
it definitely did with me.
It did with me. I'm telling you, none of them want me back. Thank you so much, Michael. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too, not just today, but every day.
Every day.
That's
Bye.
right.
Love you a lot.